Hello, fellow humans. This is The Bar. This is a podcast where we talk about movies and other such topics related or not. It's kind of just whatever the hell we want. I am Nick. I am Duncan. The other guy is Nick. And
You
welcome.
almost made it.
This other guy is Nick somewhere.
Hi, I am deep in the snow of Minnesota.
Where are you right now?
I'm in the same place I'm always am.
Home or
Yeah.
college?
No, I don't live at college.
Oh, not one of those college dorms.
No, I couldn't do that.
Yeah. Well, I'm in the downstairs living room. We got the glass door. I'm looking outside. It's snow, snow, snow. Oh, does Jack
Well,
Frost hate me?
I didn't even know it was going to snow actually, so it was very surprising.
Yeah, they just mentioned on the news last night, oh, we'll get like 5 inches. And it's not stopping at all. I had to take a shovel.
I'm sure.
What?
I'm sure it's very slippery outside actually.
Yes, it is. I had to take a shovel and slam it against a tree a few times outside to prevent it from like collapsing under the weight of the snow. So
Makes
that's
sense, yeah.
fun. Shoveled off the driveway. God, my back is spent. Anyway, old man troubles aside, why don't you introduce the first movie, the movie we're given?
Um, so you suggested Gattaca from
Mhm.
1997.
Jude Law and some
Yeah.
other guy.
Ethan Hawke from the Before trilogy and Uma Thurman from Kill Bill. I don't remember who else is in it. Yeah, Jude Law and other people that I are not coming to mind.
Yes, other
Um,
people.
it's a good movie. It's a good movie.
Mhm. You saw the whole thing?
Yep, I rewatched it.
I had to see it on YouTube. It was mostly good. The camera just kind of was a bit scrunched on the YouTube version.
That's fair.
Anyway, now I want to give this as a fair warning to everyone. We're going to talk about the movie, which means spoilers. So watch the movie beforehand. Don't go spoiling the movie for yourself. It's great. Anyway, Nick, why don't you give a plot summary?
Yeah, so it's about this. Well, let's just look up the IMDb. Make sure I'm right. But it's about like DNA and this like dystopian kind of place that they're in. And there's fun stuff that happens.
Did I give the
Um,
summary? Because I think I know more about this technology than you do.
yeah, I don't know much about it.
Okay, so as far as I can remember, who I think is Ethan Hawking gets born in a society where most people are genetically engineered. They have
Mm-hmm.
no defects. They don't have any complications. They can be genetically engineered to be smarter, stronger, prettier. I don't know, three eyes, who knows? And
Yeah.
essentially, society gets very classist since, people who can afford genetic modifications do better than those who can't. Our main character, Ethan Hawking, unfortunately, that's the name of the actor, not the
It's
name of the
Hawk.
character. I can't.
It's Hawk, not Hawking.
Oh, Ethan Hawke. The main character was born without genetic modifications. He wants to get into the space program to be an astronaut to get off of Earth. He gets in there by faking his identity as someone who is modified. However, circumstances at work result in him almost having his identity revealed. He has a few days to the launch date, so the whole movie is essentially him hiding his identity until that one launch day where he can make it out.
He doesn't do a very
What?
good job hiding it. He doesn't do a very good hiding it.
Something with the IMDb page?
No, he just doesn't do a good job hiding his identity.
What do you mean by that? He
Oh,
has
he's a
fresh
little. Huh?
he has fresh urine samples and everything.
Well.
But the thing I didn't remember originally about the movie was the fact that he got surgery to get 2 inches taller. Like they were joking. I think there's Jerome, the guy he's pretending to be, and the two of them are talking when they first meet, and they point out that
Mhm.
Jerome's like a few inches taller, and they're like, and Jerome tells him, "Oh, that'll never work. You'll never get surgery to get taller." He gets the surgery, which is essentially slicing apart your bones and stretching them a bit to get 2 inches. I never remember that part.
Yeah, I didn't remember that either, but that's painful
Yeah,
sounding.
the worst part is that's an actual medical procedure.
What?
Yeah, you can have your bones broke, stretched apart, and then you'll get a bit taller.
Where can
And
I
you,
sign up?
fuck, you're not a midget.
Where can I sign up?
I have enough problems already with my skeleton. I can't afford anymore.
It'll fix your scoliosis.
No. If they go sawing, I don't think you understand. If you go sawing into a human spine, best case scenario, you're going to paralyze a lot of them. Like, imagine the human body is a bunch of electrical cords. The spine is that power strip you all shove them into.
That's actually
Okay,
a pretty good description.
thank you. Well, audience, please keep an eye on Nick so he doesn't go off to the Bahamas to stretch himself, shall we say. Stretch his skeleton. Yeah.
We'll find it. I mean,
Well,
that doesn't surprise me because, I mean, you can do pretty much anything cosmetic like that.
yeah. People never underestimate human creativity, whether that's good or bad.
Yeah, it's, yeah. There are also movies that are about that too.
Yeah. Now that we have the general plot summary, how about thoughts? Did anything particularly stand out about the movie for you?
I kind of forgot how what's like the story was very like different, I guess would be the word. From what I was remembering, I knew it was about like uh an identity crisis, but it was a little different than what I thought of. But I like it that it's different.
Hmm. Yeah, it's kind of
Mm.
like a more slower slice of life movie, if I'd have to classify it.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I
To be
particularly
fair, though, go for it.
oh well, the two details that really stood out to me about the movie is the first off, the color choice for the entire scenery of Earth. Did you notice what they did with that? They changed.
Um,
I think they were using some sort of color effect on the Earth when they were shooting it, because all the waters had like a greenish hue to them. The sky was like constantly yellowish. It was whenever it was just outside normal, it was almost always dark or an evening, just
oh
constantly
yeah,
looking orange.
yeah. You could, well,
And
yeah.
I think, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't think the purpose behind I that isn't coming to me, but yeah, there's a lot of like really good imagery off of
I think the main purpose of that lighting choice was
that.
for the main. Yeah, it does, but I'm saying I think like thematically, going a bit English teacher on you, I think it's more of to show the Earth as more alien. From Vincent's perspective, the guy is constantly spat on, looked down upon by the whole rest of the world. And the one thing he wants to do is to get off it, to live, to be somewhere where he doesn't have to care about that. And there's something very particular about the lighting because, say, with Venus, the Titan, world they want to go to. It's very acidic and sulfurous, which is yellow, which is the kinds of colors that get used a lot in the movie. And then, however, when the rocket launches and they actually get to Titan, that's when, for almost the first time, you see the whole normal blue-green Earth, the normal-looking world.
Mhm.
It only shows up when he's out there, when he's free. And I thought that was extremely unique, a unique choice of
It
lighting.
is, yeah. I wonder who. Well, who's the director? Andrew Niccol. What else did he make? Well, he made a movie called The Truman Show. I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't
But that's
seen it,
another.
but I heard. What?
Yeah, it's another kind. It's another kind of like identity kind of thing with Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, the Grinch? Best Grinch?
Yeah. But it was before the Grinch. But it's about where he has like his life is like being broadcasted on a different planet. I think it is. So he's like a reality star, but it's real life.
So did nobody like call into question the ethics of raising a kid just to be someone's entertainment?
Well, the thing is, he doesn't know about it. He like as the movie goes, he eventually learns that he's being watched.
Yeah, that'd be creepy to grow up with that being the case.
Um, it's very good though.
Sounds like it. Is there
Maybe
anything?
one day.
Oh, is there anything else you'd like to say about Gattaca?
Go for it. What to say about it? Because I will say it's a good movie, but I don't know if it's really my thing. Um, I mean, science fiction isn't really something I love, but I mean, I do think it's a good movie. I would definitely recommend people checking it out. Um, I mean, I will say that it didn't really like rub off on me like I thought it was going to. Now that I've rewatched it a second time,
Was it like too slow for you?
it was a little slow. Although that some movies are slow, but they don't always bother me. But maybe it just had something to do with like how sciencey it is, and science not being something I care about.
Hmm. All right.
But I take it you love it.
Yeah, you guessed right.
And good. I'm glad. I'm glad you liked it.
I think it really connects into like a human purpose to overcome because Vincent,
Hmm.
they mentioned early on that essentially he's supposed to die at 30, and then later on in the movie he said he should have died 10,000 heartbeats ago, but he's still going. So he
Mhm.
doesn't really care what happens to him on Earth. He's just looking at the stars, this great place where everyone wants to go, that be that great explorer with what little time you have left. And I think
Kind of
the
a
whole,
existential kind of thing.
oh yeah, it's also this
And
one guy who crippled against
yeah,
and
the guy in the
against
wheelchair.
all. Well, yeah, but also Vincent with his heart.
Yep.
It's just the two of them working together. They go places. They actually, Vincent, he gets his own girlfriend. He gets the one career he always wanted. He gets to go out into space. He gets to prove to his brother that,
Yeah.
hey, I'm right. I can outswim you because I never saved anything left for the go back. And I think that's combine that with the whole lighting and the music, which I especially loved.
Oh yeah, the
I think
music's
it
very
just,
good.
yeah, I just think it taps into that specific part of the human soul to have a life with meaning, even if you're going to die. Well,
Yeah,
we all die, but at like, not all of us die at 30 from heart problems.
I agree. Right. Yeah. So it's a great. That's a good message.
Anyway, I've been kind of dominating this. Anyway, watch Gattaca, everyone, or else.
Yeah.
And
How would you rate it? How would you rate it?
uh, 10 out of 10.
Really? Wow. I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay, Monsieur Scorsese.
What?
Okay, Mr. Scorsese.
It's not. It's like, well, I mean, it's not a Marvel movie. I enjoyed it, but it's just not something I loved like other movies that I've watched.
I see. Well,
We're
speaking
having a
of
weird day today. I
well, speaking of Marvel, what do you think of Guardians of the Galaxy 3?
didn't know they were making a third Guardians of the Galaxy. Did that just get announced?
Yeah, they dropped the trailer for it.
The only Marvel thing that I saw was the new Spider-Verse trailer.
They're making another one?
Yeah. Like the trailer just came out this week.
I did not see that, and I went through a few of those.
Um,
I don't know what type of YouTube channels they are, but they essentially take 12 new horror movie trailers of the week and put them together. I watched for that, so
yeah,
that's where I
yeah.
got most of the list from.
It is called Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Yep. Learn
Coming
more about.
out June 2023. I mean,
Well,
have you seen Into the Spider-Verse?
yeah, the animated one.
Yeah,
I,
it's
I
actually
thought it was
it's one of the few better Spider-Man movies.
I thought it was a decent movie. I think the
I
latter half.
I would say that it's better than the Maguire one.
Are those the one where it's the Spider-Man trilogy where he says pizza time and everyone mocks the third movie for being
Yeah.
ridiculous?
Yes, yes.
I didn't actually hate that movie as much. You know why?
What, Spider-Man
Because
3?
yes. Now, granted, people are absolutely right when they mock it for being too ridiculous. Two things
Yeah.
though. First off, Sandman. Have you ever seen the Sandman scene?
I haven't seen the third one, so you're gonna have to describe it. I've only seen the
All right.
first two.
All right. Well, I guess I'm going more clinical on another scene. Essentially, you have this criminal, the very same criminal who shot Spider-Man's dad in the first. No, uncle. Is it
Oh,
Uncle
yeah.
Ben?
Uncle,
The
yeah.
same guy who, the same guy who shot Uncle Ben, later turns up in Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man has that whole Venom suit. He kicks him, and essentially he ends up in this weird radiation site because since every movie that in comic that doesn't understand how radiation works just has it be magic apparently. They flick the switch, the guy's in there, and he gets turned into sand. However, he's the Sandman. He kind of gains sentience as sand. And I know this is sounding dumb, but essentially there's this a
Yeah.
several minute scene where he's trying to pull himself back together despite the fact he keeps falling apart as sand. There's no dialogue whatsoever. It's just music and the whole sound of him. And he is constantly struggling to pull himself back together. And then he sees a locket of his daughter, the only person he really cares about in the whole world. And after
Yeah.
that, he eventually manages to rip himself free of it and start forming himself back together in an actual person. And say what you want about the rest of the movie, because I agree there's a lot of flaws, but that scene is like a 10 out of 10 scene in a movie.
I mean, it sounds a little ridiculous.
Just YouTube it. It, and the second reason that I really like
Let
that
me
movie
ask
for,
this. Let me ask this. Is it more ridiculous than the Amazing Spider-Man movies?
not Amazing Spider-Man 1. Uh, well, no, wait. Amazing Spider-Man 1's the good one. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is.
Second one sucked.
No, Amazing Spider-Man 1 is like the only Spider-Man movie where they don't just make him a joke, which is why I like it, because it's just the Spider-Man movie where he's actually a serious hero.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't get me wrong, I have no problem with the whole more teenager Spider-Man. The problem
Like
is,
the Tom Holland one talking about?
well, I think Tom Holland's a good actor and he does a good Spider-Man. The problem I have is Spider-Man, if you read him in the comics, he starts off as a teenager, but he gradually develops into the more responsible
Adult.
adult
Yeah.
superhero. And in the movies, think back. You have Spider-Verse, which is Miles Morales, the young kid. Then you have all
High
three of the
school.
Maguire movies, which only get more ridiculous. Then you have all the
Also in
Tom
high
Holland
school.
movies. Yeah,
And then
like
Holland's in high school.
Amazing Spider-Man, I think he's still in high school, but at the very least, that one's the more serious one. Spider-Man 2, however, went off into La La Land.
Oh, that's a whole weird movie that should not have been made.
Well, not in the way it was.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, where was I? All right, they're making Spider-Verse
We
2.
were talking about Spider-Verse, but and you were also talking about Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
All right, to go backwards in our conversation, Spider-Verse 2,
Okay.
not sure about it. Let's hope it doesn't suck. I really liked the first half of Spider-Verse where it was just old Peter Parker and Miles Morales. It kind of went off into La La Land when it started bringing in the pig and the black and white guy and the comic book guy and then the Japanese spider lady. It kind of felt like it lost the plot halfway through. And
Visually, it looks beautiful.
I'm not denying that. I'm saying the plot should have been a bit tighter.
Right. Right.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3. What?
To be fair, all the Spider-Man movies kind of have the same kind of plot to them, just with some variations in them.
I don't know how many Uncle Bens we have left at this point to shoot if they try to make another one.
All right, so Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
All right, what are your thoughts on that?
I've never seen any of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. The only
None of
thing I
them?
know about them, no, I haven't. The only thing I know about them is they have a decent soundtrack.
Yeah, they do. Maybe because they saw
And Chris Pratt's in it, which makes me mildly upset.
Hey, Chris Pratt is a good actor. He just he plays the same guy in a lot of movies, if you know what I mean.
It's Emmett, right, in the Lego movie?
Yeah, wait, who did Chris Pratt play in the Lego movie?
Wasn't he Emmett, the main
Oh,
character?
oh yeah, the voice matches. And who
I
is the guy
think
who played Elf?
Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell, and they had Will Ferrell as President Business, the villain of the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, that was
Speaking,
a top tier
speaking,
kids movie.
speaking of Elf, I just saw Elf for the first time recently.
Oh,
Like I had never seen it before until recently.
what'd you think?
Um, I think I liked it more when I was a kid than I do now. It has the goofy Will Ferrell spin
I
on
don't.
it.
The one thing is, the older you get and you watch it, the weirder it feels. Where you have just giant Will
Kids.
Ferrell. Well, it's like
Yeah.
giant Will Ferrell in the middle of the elf place saying "son of a nutcracker," and then it goes to New York where he mocks a dwarf in a bookstore, a dwarf with anger issues, and then he hangs around these kids who are, I think, maybe his siblings, and he eats spaghetti with maple syrup, which is a crime against nature.
Yeah.
And
That's
then they help sing. What? You're kind of breaking up.
I think he was like in his 40s, 50s. What? What?
Uh, the, your microphones are giving off a lot of static.
That's weird. I think Will Ferrell was like in his 40s or something. Which makes it even weirder.
I don't hate the movie. It's just it has this weird energy going through it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get that. Again, if I was a kid, I would have liked it more.
Right.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay, we've been dancing. All right. I'm not going to be able to talk that much about it since you don't know anything about it, but they're making Guardians of the Galaxy 3. The trailer dropped. It reveals almost nothing except the fact it's funny and has 80s and 90s rock music, which can describe the previous two pretty well. The one thing that shows me it's probably going to be good is the fact Groot is no longer a baby in it. Because Baby Groot has just been the same as Baby Yoda for Disney. They've been an endless marketing
God.
on for the. Yes, and to just have Groot be normal Groot again It makes Groot very pleased. As we wait a minute, you won't even get that joke. You haven't seen them.
I know, but I've seen the I am Groot thing.
Yes.
That's all I've seen.
Yeah.
Um, oh yeah, I should
Yeah.
have mentioned I have a cold too, so if I cough or
Oh.
sneeze.
So it's not COVID. It's one of those flus going around.
No, it's not COVID. I'm fine.
All right. Good.
I'm vaxxed. I've been tested. I'm fine.
I haven't been
Um,
hit yet.
I've had COVID 2 different times in my life. They're not fun. Get
Yeah.
vaxxed
I haven't had it.
if you can get vaxxed.
Well, I haven't had the disease as far as I know.
Yeah,
The thing is, you have those occasional one. You have those pretty often cases where you can get sick with it, and you'll never know because it doesn't show symptoms. So
that's
you just
true. Yeah,
wonder. So you just wonder. Okay, I got the jab. Did I just never get sick from it, or did I just get a sleeper case?
yeah. It's hard to tell. Now.
Yeah. Anyway, that's unpleasant talk. I don't think anyone wants to talk about COVID. We hear enough about it in the world. How about Cocaine
Anyway,
Bear?
oh my
Switching.
God! So in college we watched that trailer in class. It was so weird and stupid, and I want to see it.
Yeah, there have been actual instances where bears break into alcohol stashes and drug stashes. Like I saw a news report where it's like a bear broke open into a giant amount of alcohol and just stumbled around drunk. So this movie is actually highly realistic.
That's one
Well,
thing I could not believe was this is based on a real story. Like that's crazy.
trust me, there's some crazy stuff going on in the world.
But I know, but it's just weird that somehow in what did it say 85 or something like that. Just a bear got a hold of cocaine. How
That's a
does that
monster
even
movie.
happen?
That's a monster movie I want to see. Though I think it needs to be made
Maybe
like one of
check
those.
it out.
You know what they should do? Film it like a BBC nature documentary, except it's the plot of a horror movie. Now, the way they do this, you know how they have horror movies where Cocaine Bear, he hunts down a group of teenagers in the forest.
Mm-hmm.
Like that?
Yep.
Have the movie should, if I was making it, have a crew with the whole BBC documentary guy talking about the cocaine bear in his natural habitat as he hunts down a bunch of teenagers who are going through the whole horror movie shtick of they barricade the gas station. One of them gets picked off one by one. The bear is just crazy. And just so you have this shot of the bear eating people, and it's like, the bear feeds on his natural prey in the woods. The drunken, horny teenager.
That'd be a fun little short to watch. Like a Friday the 13th, yeah.
Yeah. Have they final? Yeah. How many final? Are they still making Friday the 13th movies?
No, it hasn't. Not since 2009.
Oh, so Jason Goes to Space was a bridge too far?
Well, that one happened in 2001. In
What about
2009 there was a remake.
they made a remake of the original Friday the 13th or the one where he goes to space?
No, the remake is the first 3 original movies into one movie.
Oh, good. I can't stand.
By the way, those Friday the 13th sequels are terrible.
You don't say.
The
A
Manhattan one,
slasher,
especially.
a slasher movie with terrible sequels. I never would imagine.
Did you see there's a Scream 6 coming out?
Oh God, no! I saw.
And
I had to see Scream 5 with my sisters, and
yeah,
I hated that movie so much. It's about an hour longer than it should be. The
yeah,
whole movie,
that's
the
true.
plot, the plot is essentially the Scream movies are real in the universe, and the murderers are just a bunch of toxic fans who don't like how the Scream movies have been going. So they'll murder some innocent people in some horrifically gory ways. Like
Yeah.
like Smile had some horrifying parts in it, but it kind of felt like it handled it a bit better. With Scream, it was like, oh, boy gets skinned alive in front of you. Enjoy not sleeping tonight. And then the whole film just turned into Ryan Johnson's masturbatory fanfic about how fans are terrible despite the fact they give you your paycheck. And
It's
apparently,
Scream has always been a very meta horror movie. It's always been like that since the beginning. But they went
well,
a little too far on that one.
well, well, maybe I would hate the other Scream movies. I don't know if I would or wouldn't, but Scream 5 just kind of had the whole this bitchiness, this Hollywood bitchiness is the only way I could describe it, where
Yeah.
it's only the only field of entertainment, the only two fields of entertainment they really make stuff to piss off the fans, the people who enjoy the product, is stuff
Mm.
like it's movies and games. Like, can you imagine like someone who remodels homes for a living telling someone, we'll paint your home red when you told us to paint it green? Fuck you. We'll do it either way. Do you imagine any of them doing that?
No.
Like the movie industry and gaming are like the only two fields where that kind of line, people can do that, lose $100 million, like with Disney, what they did with Strange New Worlds, and just continue to have their jobs. It's just bizarre.
Like probably the first two you'd probably enjoy. They're a lot less irritating than the fifth one.
Yeah. Anyway, any deets on Scream 6?
It's gonna be in New York.
Yay!
So it's basically Jason Takes Manhattan.
I assume that went amazingly, didn't it?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That
Well,
movie the movie is 90 minutes long. 2/3 of it is on a boat, and the other third is in New York.
so Jason takes a boat and then occasionally Manhattan.
It's so bad. I would say it's probably the worst sequel of that series.
I heard they made one where it was who Freddy Krueger versus Jason. Freddy versus
Yeah.
Jason. Did you ever see that
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, I
I,
have.
s- oh, I saw the Nostalgia Critic review of it, and that one at least looked funny. So
It's a fun it's not great, but it's fun. Like the fight scenes are pretty cool. And the rest of the story's kind of forgettable.
speaking of forgettable, Avatar 2.
Oh my god. Why? Why Avatar? Why is that getting sequels? Why is James Cameron spending the rest of his life making Avatar sequels?
My question is, why did it take him 12 years to make it?
Yeah, that's another good question. I'm assuming he was building the lore of it.
Well, it can't really be that because Avatar 2, the two differences are like he's a fish person now who lives in water, and now the people are coming back again. Like that's not really Lord of the Rings levels of writing.
Right. From what I've
Well,
seen of the trailer, the only thing I get out of it is just how ugly it is. It looks really bad to me. I can't stand how the blue people look. It looks fake and it bothers the hell out of me is what I'm getting at.
look, I think the actual environment itself looks gorgeous, but I have to agree with you.
I agree. I agree.
Those
The
blue cat
environment looks
people,
great.
good God, those blue cat people just don't look good.
No, I don't like the blue people at all. They look ugly. They look fake. Like I said,
Yeah.
like you said, the environment looks good. It's the blue people I don't like, which sounds very
Here's one.
racist. Now I'm saying that, but it
Well,
looks
they
ugly.
killed. Well, they killed human in the original movie. They killed plenty of humans. So I say I say we take him out. Starship Troopers strategy.
It's
I mean, well,
oh, and I'm assuming you read about this, but did you also read that it needs like to
oh yeah, that
get
was the point I
even
was
in the
gonna.
box office? Yeah,
Yeah, that was the
go for
point I
it.
was gonna bring up. James Cameron has spent for the audience who's listening. James Cameron in the production of Avatar 2, and I'm assuming also it's advertising, which also eats up most of the budget, a lot of the budgets for any games or movies that come out, because they want them to be marketed and succeed. That's the basic reason why they cost so much.
Yeah.
In short, he spent $2 billion counting so far in this movie, and that would mean in order to make back its money and get a profit, even if it's $1 in profit, it would have to be the third highest grossing movie in all human history.
That is not gonna happen. It is
That is
not gonna happen.
that is insane.
That's, I mean, to be fair, the original Avatar for a while was the highest grossing film of all time.
Was it Endgame or Infinity War that took it out?
Endgame. But it didn't, well, for one, it didn't deserve to be. The, I don't know how that happened, but it is not
Now
going to
that,
make its money back.
yeah. I mean,
It's
if James Cameron really wanted a sequel to Avatar, he should have made it like 10 years ago. I mean,
yeah,
it was
it's
the
funny.
highest grossing movie of all time for almost a decade or something like that. He could have gone to any studio and been like, here are my demands. I want this for my sequel. And they would have given it to him. Like even if
The
it was
excuse,
like a quarter of the profits of the original, it'd still be hundreds of millions of dollars. But instead he waited this long.
the excuse he's been using with 20th Century is he's been claiming that he's been able to get what he wants because, quote unquote, he made Titanic, which paid for all of 20th Century, I guess. So I guess they just let him do whatever he wants because of that.
The sounds of it, he's gonna bankrupt 20th century.
I mean,
But
watching it or just reading interviews that he's done in promotion for this movie, he just sounds like the biggest dick in directing right now.
he kind of always has been an asshole. I mean, did you ever hear about the making of the movie Abyss?
No, I have not.
Okay, so James Cameron,
I'm
as everybody knows, makes a lot of sci-fi movies. Abyss, in
yeah.
simple, crew of a submarine has to go really deep, and as I remember correctly, some weird supernatural stuff happens on the submarine. Classic horror trope. But essentially, with that movie, they found an abandoned nuclear reactor, and they have these giant water tanks to store it. So that's where they did the movie in. And James Cameron, for the shoot, he basically was torturing his actors there because since it's a gigantic, like multiple Olympic swimming pools worth of water, algae was everywhere. So
Mhm.
they dumped bleach into it
Oh,
constantly. Actors would
oh
go in there
God,
with brown hair and they'd come out blonde with burning skin. I
that
mean,
is
to be fair,
horrible.
yeah, and to be fair to James Cameron himself, he didn't have a good time making the movie either because he almost died making it. They had to
Wow.
use scuba gear to get down to the bottom, and James Cameron, to his credit, is a very hands-on individual. So he was down
Yeah.
there, recognized his oxygen tank was almost empty. He swam up. However, essentially there was this incident with this one guy who tried something happened with the oxygen tank getting knocked off. This other guy tried to help James Cameron, but the problem was he tried to give him this air tube, which was just flooding water into his lungs. So he was struggling. The guy didn't know what was happening, so he tried to stop Cameron. He thought he was panicking. So Cameron had to
Mhm.
punch the guy in the face to avoid drowning and make it to the surface to not drown to death.
God.
And that's like the tip of the iceberg.
Oh yeah, there's stories about the making of Titanic where the actress who played Rose almost drowned because of it,
I mean,
and
if he
also got
broke a spine in the actor,
and also got hypothermia because of the conditions he made.
I mean, they didn't actually have it take place in freezing water, did they?
No,
He did.
I think they filmed it at like a giant pool, but like the conditions of like cold water, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Anyway,
I don't like him. I mean, he's
yeah.
gonna spend the rest of his life making Avatar, whatever.
Well, I don't know how willing they're going to be to fund Avatar 3 after Avatar 2
Yeah, that's true.
because a $2 billion flop is a studio killer kind of disaster.
Yeah, it's 20th century could go downhill because of that.
Just what the hell were they thinking on giving him that much? How do you spend $2 billion on making a movie?
Yeah, that's. Well, let me look up what's the highest budget for a film because I'm sure. Okay, so the highest budget for a movie is Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides,
That's
and
kind of
and then
random movie.
and then right below it is Endgame, Age of Ultron, and then Avatar 2. So it's number 4 most expensive films ever made.
How do you spend that much money?
And the original Avatar is 25th. Like that's the difference we're talking.
Hmm.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
the 2019 Lion King is 13.
How
Ugh,
much
that movie
how much money did they spend on that?
260 million. And the
On
movie
that piece
looks, oh my god.
on that piece of
That's
garbage?
Oh no, it made in the box office 1.6 billion.
Good God, what's wrong with people nowadays?
We Society is dying. We live in a society.
Yes, in the words of the great Joker, we live in a society. And as part of that whole transition, Joker 2, I looked more into the trailer for it. Why is it a musical?
That's what interests me. I'm curious to see what it'll be like as a musical.
Uh, Like, I'm going to be honest, I am incredibly nervous about the sequel
But
because
did,
I looked up the trailer. I did do that. It
yeah.
didn't really say like anything other than Joaquin Phoenix and her and Lady Gaga are in a movie. But I know the people
Did
behind
you
this are incredibly talented. The problem is you can't really tell me it's going to be Joker with Lady Gaga playing Harley Quinn and the musical and nothing else and expect me not to have some big questions.
well, I think a couple of days ago there was an image that came out of like production has started basically on it, so they're filming it.
Yeah, I mean, if you it's kind of with Joker, it was kind of inevitable for a sequel because when you remember, did you see Joker?
Of course I did. I saw it in theaters.
Yeah, just remember what Joker was like, everything there. It was not expensive to make. Like, there was no big CGI battles
No.
or weird cat people to animate or
It,
dead-eyed
it only
lions.
cost it only cost 55 billion or 55 million to make it.
50. Imagine spending $55 billion on a movie.
That's
55
too
million.
much.
Yeah, God. It's
55
like,
million.
oh, yeah, that would take a
I think
hurt.
I said that because it made 1 billion in box office.
Yeah. Yeah, so with that kind of profit from the movie, it was kind of inevitable a sequel is going to be made. But that whole musical thing, I think they need to clarify just what on earth that means.
I'm assuming it's going to be like well, I thought I read that it's supposed to be kind of like a Clockwork Orange meets a musical or something like that. So it's
The
not
thing
going
is,
to be a traditional musical. It's probably going to be different.
yeah, it's just Joker was like a psychological movie about a man's descent into madness from everything in his life going to hell, losing everything he cared about when he was already over the edge, essentially, and getting that last shove off. And after that kind of movie, they're going like, let's do that again, but as a musical. That's right,
Still
ladies and gentlemen.
listed. It's still listed as a psychological thriller, like the last movie
Well,
was.
well, yeah, I'm just saying that psychological thriller and musical don't exactly, they kind of clash
Yeah,
with each other. Like, imagine,
that's
you know
fair.
how everyone and their grandmother knows how the original fairy tales compared to what Disney did with them were way
Yeah,
darker. And there's a reason
yeah,
for that. You don't want the happy musical of Undead Dissy to go with Ariel turning into sea foam for 100 years and everyone she loves dying. Because it clashes. It doesn't match. It's like
right.
making a World War One film, all quiet on the Western Front, and while people are getting mowed down by machine guns and blown apart, there's ballet artists singing a fairy tale on the other side.
Uh,
Maybe it'll work.
I'm looking forward to it. It'll be interesting. I will
It
watch
will.
it.
It will. I just really want them to stick the landing here. They got a great start with the original. It's just Joker the musical with Lady Gaga is. I don't know. If you ask me, they came up with that idea while talking to Cocaine Bear.
Well, yeah. I am hoping that with this new Joker movie, though, that they don't steal any more movie ideas, because the first one is very derivative of Taxi Driver and the King of Comedy. So I'm hoping it's more original than that one.
Maybe.
By the way,
Anyway,
King of Comedy is a really good movie. By the way, check that one out. Ooh,
speaking of originality, they're making another Transformers movie.
really?
Yep, Transformers: Rise of the Beasts.
I somehow never heard about it.
Yeah, they just dropped the trailer for it.
Like today?
I don't know if it's today. It was on one of those YouTube channels that compiles trailers, but
Okay. Um, yeah, it come in June 2023. Michael Bay
he's,
involved?
I don't know,
Yeah,
probably is.
yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. It
Oh,
is set in
19 what?
1994 Brooklyn. The movie's going to take place in.
What an oddly specific date and place.
In the year 1994, a pair of human archaeologists from Brooklyn come into an ancient conflict through a globe-trotting adventure with the Autobots that ties in with the three factions of the Transformers race. Interesting.
Hmm.
I
So
guess
who's cho
I guess this is a bad time to admit I've never seen a Transformers movie.
It's not a bad thing to admit. They are not. They're not
I know they're
stellar.
not great. Yeah, I know they're not great.
Like the Transformers series, I watched a lot of it as a kid. The 1960s cartoon where it's hand drawn,
Read
and
these.
there's the 2000s or something cartoon that was out. I think on Nickelodeon. At the same time, both Last Airbender and Korra were airing live, and it was
Yeah,
3D animated. That was like unironically good. The funny thing
yeah,
is, this was before I had Netflix, so as a kid, I'd watch the new episode every Saturday of that show because I was hooked. And
yeah.
then one Saturday, this was like the second to last episode, I missed it. And then I came back the
Why?
next Saturday hoping for a rerun. It was the rerun of episode one. So I never found out how it ended. Yeah.
Do you not have like on demand on your TV?
Well, we do. I'm just not sure where that show would
No.
be on.
So
Yeah,
you
I'm
still
just not
never
sure.
seen you still never seen how it's ended?
Nope. I'll have to fix that someday, I guess. And
Let's see.
speaking of which, Whose children does Michael Bay have hostage in order to make this many Transformers movies?
What? What about children?
Why does Michael Bay get to make 50 different live action Transformers movies? Like what?
I don't know.
Like
Yeah.
if I had to guess, it was probably China because I heard they make these movies a stupid amount of money.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the entire Transformers film series has grossed over 7.8 billion worldwide.
Oh, that's why they keep letting him back into the studio.
He is making him one of the most commercially successful directors in history. He is number 4 on the highest grossing film directors, behind Peter Jackson, behind Spielberg, and behind the Russo brothers.
That is sad. That is sad.
He's beating James Cameron, he's beating Christopher Nolan, and he's beating J.J. Abrams, Tim Burton, Ridley Scott.
Right, like half of those is an outrage. The other half, like J.J. Abrams, I don't really mind that. Though I
Yeah.
do think Michael Bay is a bit weird of a person because I remember seeing on this one comedy show I watched, they joked about no, not J.J. Abrams. They joked about Michael Bay, and it was in one of the Transformers movies. There's a scene where this one adult confronts the other male main character, and he essentially makes a very specific accusation. He claims that he's having sex with an underage girl, and the guy, the tail guy, pulls out this contract, which is legally signed, which is essentially like, oh, if a 17 and an 18-year-old do it, it's not a crime. It was like that. It was weirdly specific,
What?
Michael Bay. Yeah, I'm dead
What?
serious. They showed the scene. Hold up.
Oh my god.
I think Michael has a bit of a dark secret if he's putting that in his movies. Hold up.
About that. How did that happen? He's 57. That explains it. He's not married. That also explains it. That's
Hold up a second. I'm gonna try and see if I can.
three. That's
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm
Michael Bay hasn't made a lot of original stuff outside of Transformers.
like what?
We made Bad Boys.
What's Bad Boys?
Oh, you've never seen? Well, they're not very good, but it's it's one of those movies you would find on cable one day.
Hmm. Well,
Michael Bay has also been accused of heavily objectifying women in his film.
guys, can you believe it? Michael Bay. Oh, the horror! Michael Bay in his action movies, which primarily appeal to young men, has hot women in it. Oh, the horror! I mean, I
Like,
think Michael Bay objectifies explosions. It's highly explosiophobic of him to put so
yeah,
many of them.
yeah, the CGI is.
But I don't deny that he does that a lot with women in his movies, but I don't think Michael Bay is like some raging sexist who hates all women. I think it's just because the guy no I don't think he's that good of a director. He's very generic and his movies aren't that good. One thing I will give to Michael Bay, hands down, is he is a marketing genius. He knows his audience. One talent is just to know your audience and to market to them to make money. And I think he's better than everyone else in the film industry at that. Like people will
Oh,
say,
hold on,
oh, he,
hold on, hold on. Michael Bay published an open letter written by 3 anonymous members of the crew of Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen that referred to Megan Fox, one of the actresses in the movie, as Miss Sourpants, a porn star, unfriendly bitch, and dumb as a rock.
I don't know
And is
anything
also,
about, I don't know
let's
anything about
see,
Megan Fox. Is that,
He was an
Is she?
actress in the first two Transformer movies, I think. Um, Another point of connection with Bay's films is his portrayal and use of offensive racial stereotypes as comedic relief. A notable example being the characters Skids and Mudflap in Revenge of the Fallen. So he doesn't seem like a good person, is what we're getting at.
Oh. Well, I don't know that much about
Um,
Michael Bay, but
in
at the very
2009, in 2009 it was reported that Megan Fox, at the age of 15, was made to wash Michael Bay's car. What?
okay, never mind. I'm retracting all defenses.
Yes,
Get
take your
everything I
statements
said earlier.
back.
I think I know why that contract was in the movie.
Let's get off Michael Bay.
Okay,
Get off this topic.
I didn't know about that. All right,
We're,
let's
we're,
see. They're make they're making another Indiana Jones movie.
yes, I saw the trailer of that.
Hmm.
I'm I'm interested, but I'm also not interested because Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is really bad.
It was a
Also, there should be only 3 movies, is what I'm getting at.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was a perfectly okay ending. It wasn't a stellar end to the series, but I'd say it's kind of a perfect place to say it's over and done with. Let's move on and forget.
Well, I mean, I would argue Last Crusade was where it should have ended because that has, I think, a better ending than Crystal Skull did.
Well, I'll be honest, my main interaction with the Indiana Jones series was the weird Lego game they made for the. So I'm not an expert on my Indiana Jones lore,
Oh, you
but I
haven't
didn't.
seen them?
I think I occasionally saw them. It's just not that much. I Most of my knowledge comes from Lego game, which is not the best
Okay.
Lego game. It's kind of janky.
Um, so Dial of Destiny, first of all, stupid name.
Yes,
We get that out there. Um, it's about, well, first of all, it has nothing to do with Spielberg. It's a completely
it's a
different director.
it's a bad sign.
Also not written by George Lucas.
That's another bad sign.
Um, but another thing about it, which I guess this is kind of debatable if it's good or not, but it is going to be Harrison Ford and well, it's Harrison Ford's last acting movie, and it's also going to be John Williams' last movie scoring.
Hmm.
So that's interesting.
Well, yeah. I don't think
But
it's a
look
good
at
idea. I don't think it's
if
a
you
good
look at
idea.
the footage, it's so in the movie he Harrison Ford has been de-aged because he's 80 years old right now. Have you seen the trailer?
Yes, I saw the trailer.
What do you think of how he looks?
I don't quite remember how he looked in the trailer. He looked kind of fine to me, but I'd have to say it's a terrible idea to have Harrison Ford in this kind of acting role at his age, because
Yeah.
at this point he's so old. Most of the time he's going to have to be constantly de-aged, replaced with body doubles, or at risk of injury. And
Well,
in
he
the
did get
actions,
injured. He did get injured on set one time for this movie.
yeah, it's just they're probably going to end up spending more money having him in the movie than if they just didn't.
No. Apparently he is only de-aged for the opening monologue, and that's it.
Hmm.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Mhm.
Weird choice
Yeah.
that it's about the space race, though.
It's not about the space race. I think now I heard about the plot, and I got some bad news. You know Kathleen Kennedy,
Yeah.
the same exact woman who 9/11 to the entire Star Wars series.
What is she behind it?
Yes,
Oh, she's
she is.
producing it.
She
Oh
is
my god.
completely behind it. And the
Well,
plot of
I don't know.
if the plot of the movie is to be believed, essentially younger Indiana Jones from leaks, younger Indiana Jones gets killed off, which ends up vanishing actual Indiana Jones in the past, the older one. So random woman character at the end of the movie ends up becoming the new Indiana Jones, who gets to time travel across the world and keep stealing other people's stuff. So the whole goal of this movie is to kill Indiana Jones to replace him with a younger, more diverse actress, essentially.
Well, from what it looks like, it is confirmed for right now that this will be the last one. For
If it make
now, that's confirmed. Because,
This is Disney.
actually, hold on. It says that Kennedy reaffirmed comments that Ford's role as Indiana Jones would not be recast. So they could stick to the
Yes,
word.
she first off, this is Kathleen Kennedy. Never trust a word she says. She
Okay.
promised George Lucas she'd do the plans he set out for the sequels, tossed them out for J.J. Abrams. She then stabbed J.J. in the back and replaced it with Ryan Johnson for the middle movie. But then when Ryan Johnson blew up the series with the episode 8, she then brought J.J. Abrams back for the ninth. So this is not a woman you can trust with anything, let alone the whole promise not to kill someone off. But with the specific series in mind, keep in mind what that language says, because language is important. The way it's said, they will not recast Indiana Jones. They will not make another Indiana Jones movie. But I didn't say they were going to continue with him. I said that if the leaks are to be believed, their goal is to kill Indiana Jones off, replace him with the female character who will take the hat and the whip, and then they can, if it's successful, they can just make more movies off of it with her as a younger actress.
You know what? I don't want to watch this movie anymore.
No, no, I don't. It's everything bad about Hollywood. It's just another.
Oh no.
It's just
I
another
ha-
male hero who's going to get dragged out near geriatric to be replaced with some random snarky anorexic lady, some anorexic white girl who's just going to make all these quips and remarks and then just be completely insufferable. And of course, we need that time travel, that random dimension hopping.
I think I will wait until the movie comes out before I watch it.
I'm not giving my shekels on a matter of principle. I will not give any of my shekels to Kathleen Kennedy.
I will wait until it comes out before I decide if I want to watch it or not. Well, because it's also the first Indiana Jones movie that's going to be owned by Disney.
Oh, yay.
So that's a bad sign. That's 3 strikes.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah. What even is Disney making at this right now?
Um,
Because their past 2 films have both been financial disasters. And they fired.
did you see that Mickey Mouse is going to the public domain this coming year?
Good luck. Good luck with that. For anyone who's
Well,
not to both.
only sort of. It's just the like an older version of Mickey Mouse is going into the public domain, the newer one.
All right. Now, just a quick lesson for both you, Nick, and to the audience. When it comes to copyright law, under original American copyright law,
Oh
Mickey Mouse
I've heard
would
about
have
it. I,
would
I've
have
heard about
been
that.
in
Yeah.
public domain decades ago.
Yeah,
The
it was
way public
1998. It was 1998 when Disney fucked with the copyright laws in the U.S.
they the problem was Disney essentially when it goes into public domain, you can make your own version of that. Like with stuff like all of the classical fairy tales, I could publish a book, 100-page book on Snow White and the Seven Dwarves and Cinderella, my own version of that, and make money off it without fear of lawsuits because those are in the public domain. Disney just used something that was already in the public domain and made their own version of that. What happened was Disney didn't want Mickey Mouse to go out into public domain because he's the mascot, biggest money maker. So they went and pulled their magic Mickey bucks
Well,
into a bunch of politicians and they
that's the
extended it by
thing.
about a century.
Mickey Mouse really isn't like the mascot anymore, though. It's more of the castle.
Well, yeah, but it's Mickey's castle. It
So I don't know.
and he's one of the most he's up there with other characters like say Garfield or Iron Man when it comes to public characters kids know about. So
I'm just
I
looking to
argue
see if there's anything.
I'd argue the main reason isn't so much they want other people to make money off of it. It's because Mickey is like the face of Disney. They don't want someone to make like one of those rated R horror movies with a really screwed up Mickey Mouse in it because they don't want it to impact kids' perception of their company. That's my big brain theory on why they're so hostile on anyone else touching them.
So sometime in May of this year, there was a bill that was proposed that would have changed the copyright law for basically the copyright protection would expire to 56 years, not like 100 years or whatever it is now.
Oh, so we'd only have to wait over half a century for copyright to expire.
Let's see. So right now it's 95 years before it goes into public domain. And actually, it's my mistake. It's not next year. It's 2024. It would go into the public domain. So my mistake. But I guess they were looking into changing it to 56 instead of 95.
I wish to be hopeful on that, Nick, but I know Disney, and I
Yeah.
I got this feeling they're gonna screw around with copyright law one way or another to get the same result. I hope it's not the case, but who knows?
Has Disney really learned though?
Has any? I think a better way of putting it is, has Disney gotten less greedy?
No, they've not.
Exactly, they've gotten more, just more incompetent. So there's no principle of, say, charity that'll stop them from trying this. So you have to basically, you can only count on them being incompetent to not have the copyright law extended. Which,
It's ridiculous that they do that.
mhm. Like well, I'll play devil's advocate here. I can sympathize with people who want it to be long because they don't want anyone making like a very screwed up version of that, and they don't want to
Okay.
have their reputations damaged by other bozos. I
That's fair.
understand that completely. At the same time, a company can just go up to the government and say, "We want this to be our property for over 100 years." Like that just puts a cultural deadlock on civilization.
Yeah.
Like if those laws
I
were
don't
in
know.
place, yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Copyright. I'm not going to bother with copyright law right now. There's so much I could say about it, but I'm just not going to do it.
Well, so
What's your next
what?
topic?
Yes, what on the list should we do next? Got the making John Wick Chapter 4. I saw the
Oh
trailer,
yeah, I have.
and
It's
it
interesting.
looks interesting. It looks John Wick. And
Yep,
I know I may not.
it looks like John Wick.
I know. I
Um,
know I may not sound that excited about it, but it's another John Wick movie. It doesn't look bad. It just looks like the other John Wick movies.
a John Wick movie. Yeah. Did you see there's going to be a spinoff of John Wick
They'll
with
probably make a spin-off, but at the same time, since it's one of the few action movie series nowadays which has actually had some staying power. Like they had a bunch of like nowadays they just make sequels to the Terminator. They don't make an actual new series that's as memorable as Terminator. So I think
Right.
that's why the franchise is unique for the modern era. But I don't know about spin-offs. There's supposed to be 5, right?
No. There's one spinoff that's currently in development.
No, not 5 spin-offs. There's supposed to be 5 chapters, right?
Oh, I've never heard that. Um,
I'm not sure about that one point because the trailer essentially seems to be everyone's hunting John Wick, as they were in every other John Wick movie ever made.
again,
And
it's a
John
very
Wick,
John Wick movie.
yeah. So in the end, John Wick turns out he's given an offer: fight and kill some guy on the Assassin Council, and you get to go home free. Well, no, you get to take your family's spot in the Assassin Circle. And I think it's trying to say, oh, his family was actually assassins, all of them,
Yeah.
and he's just going to succeed more at it. Like,
I
sorry,
don't
I'm
know.
not giving a Shakespearean summary, but I think that's what it is.
It's a little hard to tell.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll probably watch it. Probably not in theaters, but I'll probably watch it. The
So,
spinoff is called Ballerina, by the way.
yeah, well, they do love the ballet in John Wick.
It'll be with Ana de Armas and Keanu Reeves, I guess. That no release date though.
Yeah. Well, what about Rings of Power? Have you heard of that?
Lord of the Rings.
No, 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 no. Rings of Power, the Amazon version.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power.
Yeah, well, after making a $1 billion bomb at the box at the for the series,
Yeah,
they've taken the budget and they've crushed it like a wormy apple. They've moved it to London away from New Zealand. And in
that
order to
sounds bad.
guess what? They also changed it so it's now they fired all the men directing it because that was the big problem with it, obviously.
Well, I mean, create different creative minds, I guess. I don't know.
All
I mean, I know
female
nothing.
direct.
I know nothing. I know nothing about Lord of the Rings. So this is definitely more your thing.
Yeah, well, it's not good.
I mean,
There's
I've
a
heard Rings of Power isn't good. Again,
now there
I've still never seen the original trilogy.
you should.
Well, I'm not. I don't know. 9 hours of it just sounds like a lot. So I've been putting it off.
Well, a lot of good things in life just require tedious amount of time, but it's worth it.
Yeah,
Trust me.
I'm sure. So Mario movie?
Oh yeah, they made another trailer for the Mario movie.
Yeah, it looks very weird.
Yep,
I
they
don't I don't
have
I don't I don't know if I like it anymore. Well, I didn't to begin
summer
with.
the summarized
Yeah.
trailer. You have Donkey Kong, who looks like a. I probably shouldn't say that one word I used a lot last episode, but he looks mentally challenged, shall we say?
There you go.
Yet, like he looks like an actual chimpanzee. And then all the voices just suck, in my opinion. Like the
I
ones for
cannot stand how Chris Pratt sounds. It bothers the fuck out of me.
Chris Pratt should not be Mario. Then they have
No, you should not.
And the movie just feels generic, if you ask me. Like,
Yeah,
it,
it's an illumination movie, of course.
yeah, and they have Princess Peach, who for some reason is a warrior princess. Because we have to break the role model by doing what every single movie for the past decade has been doing with the warrior princess stereotype. And the voice actress for Princess Peach, I don't know what about her, but she just does not sound normal. She just doesn't match the normal.
What's that mean?
Like,
What do you mean she
I've
doesn't
look.
sound normal?
I'm saying as a kid, I played a lot of Mario, both the Mario Galaxy games, because those were almost masterpiece games. Therefore, I heard what Princess Peach sounds like as a kid, and she kind of has the same voice in every single game. So there's this consistency there. And then you see Illumination's Princess Peach, who sounds like a completely different person, as some weird sarcastic warrior princess, and you just like, no, that just doesn't fit. It's
I
like
mean,
making a movie where,
you can also say that about Chris Pratt too. There's
hey, I'm not denying that. I'm saying that's a problem with the whole movie. And you
yeah.
got Jack Black as Bowser, which is just, oh god.
The only one that I'll say kind of works for me is Luigi. I think Luigi sounds okay.
I couldn't really hear Luigi because they had him talking at the exact same time Bowser was screaming at him. Sorry, Jack Black
Yeah,
was screaming at him.
yeah. He had like one line I think in the trailer, but he
Yeah,
sounded
it was like,
okay.
do you think all Italians look the same or something? Luigi, those are some tense accusations you're
Jack,
making. You better be careful.
I mean, Jack Black sounds like he could be okay with Bowser, but I don't know.
I don't know.
It's
Jack Black always has had the Bowser as like a kid's villain is supposed to be the stereotypical intimidating, fearsome, evil dragon guy. Jack Black doesn't sound like that. He sounds like that fat nasally kid who you just kicked in the balls. Is the best way I can describe him as. Like,
okay.
that doesn't mean he's terrible at his job. It's just he's not someone I'd go to find someone intimidating.
Yeah.
Like, the voice actor for Bowser should be someone who's guarding a nightclub that you're afraid is going to cave your skull in if you anger him. He shouldn't be someone you think just got his ass kicked by some random,
Again,
by
it's
any
a
random
kids
person.
movie. It's a kids movie.
It's
That's
just,
not an excuse either. That's not an excuse either.
I'm not saying Bowser has to roast people alive. I'm saying the voice actor should at least be good to fit. Like, you wouldn't want someone on helium to play the guy because it wouldn't fit.
What I was getting at was every
What?
movie that comes out, whenever
Sorry,
tries to criticize anything about it,
are
they
you?
always say
You're talking like you're in the copper submarine. What's going on,
every
Nick?
time there's an what?
It, your microphone is going static like crazy.
Is it fine now?
Right now, yes.
Okay. Every animated movie that comes out as of recently, anytime someone tries to criticize it, they always say it's a kids movie. And that's just somehow supposed to make it all better. And I
That's just an
hate
excuse.
that. I hate that.
That's just an excuse for the same. Why don't we just use the same logic of it's an adults movie? It should just be blood and violence without any intelligence. No, we wouldn't use that argument because it's terrible.
Right.
And not
But
like, I can understand not wanting to have the fifth grader, or the 5-year-old read Shakespeare because that might be over their head. I can understand that. But when it
yeah.
just comes to basic kids movies, you don't want them dumbed down. You want your kids to be smart, and part of that is having smarter movies.
Do you remember when the Lego movie came out? People were overreacting about it, how it was going to turn kids dumb.
It didn't. I'd say that was one of the greater kid movies to ever come out.
It is. But I remember
Uh,
before it came out, there was a bunch of people getting on about it, how how anti-consumer it is, and it was going to ruin kids.
By being anti-consumer?
Yeah.
How does that work?
I don't
Like, I
know.
think people nowadays should be.
And I think that was Fox News or whatever, which sounds like them, but it was one of them that was making that argument.
Guys,
And I agree. The
it,
Lego Movie is one of the better animated movies.
mhm. That and the Lego Batman movie. I won't speak of the two movies that come after it because I am going to get in an Ninjago rant, and I don't think anyone wants to hear that.
No. I've never seen the Ninjago movie.
Yeah, it's
Um,
so well. Don't watch the kids movie because it's just unlike the previous two movies, which had intelligence and heart. The next two Lego movies just were the exact opposite, where they're just the dumb, stereotypical kids movie,
mhm.
and it's just terrible. Like
And
in
well,
Ninjago,
I have no interest. I have no interest in
like,
Ninjago, so I wouldn't
yeah,
watch
like
it.
yeah, I'm not gonna try and force you to watch the show. Well, this is like the only one I won't force you to watch. But in Ninjago, I'll just say in like season one or so, one of the characters finds out that the joke is, oh, he never reacts to anything. And then when they raid this one laboratory, they find schematics that have parts of that guy in them, like a character who's emotionless. And then he
Right.
finds out, oh my God, I'm not even a human, I'm a robot. And they don't make it some funny, haha, oh, look at this, 5 seconds of emotion, and then no, it will make a Jack Black joke. It focuses on that because it was an actually it just lets it sink in for the whole audience that this guy just found out he's not a human being. But and
That's
lets that unplay. And then in the movie, and keep in mind, both of these are intended for children. In the movie, he's just a funny, quirky robot. No emotional turmoil from finding out you're basically a toaster and you didn't know that for your entire life. Like, it's just that kind of argument people make for all kids media to be dumb. Like those are two bits of media from the exact same franchise, and it is a night and day difference with how they handle that subject.
right.
Yeah.
One thing I do remember about the thing with the Lego Movie I was talking about was they were saying to not watch Lego Movie, but instead to watch the Minions movie, which
That is,
that is a hate crime, war crime,
and not even
one
in
of
the
those
fun way.
crimes.
It's
No,
not even in the fun. It's that's just atrocious.
that is the Minions movie is a movie I was forced to see in theaters, and I hated every minute of it.
Watch the Minions movie to be more pro consumer. What a cucked message that is.
I'm, I, I don't know.
That is just.
It's so
I
bad
am
of a movie.
speechless. I am
It's
speechless. Like
I mean,
it's kind of the whole.
if you want an animated movie that's pro consumer, watch the fucking Emoji Movie. I mean,
No,
it's filled with ads and marketing.
just to be clear to this audience, if any of you watch the Emoji Movie, we will find out where you live. We will call up Elon Musk, and we will. What's that torture device they use in? What's that torture
That's
device they use in
that's
Clockwork Orange? Where they pry the eyes open and force them to watch something. We're gonna
I
have
don't
that
remember
on.
what it's called.
We're gonna find you. We're gonna pry your eyelids open, and we're just gonna force you to watch The Last Airbender over and over again until you actually understand what good television is.
I was one of the few people who saw the Emoji Movie in theaters,
Oh my God, are you mentally deranged?
and I have not been the same since.
Sounds like it.
I mean, you could write a commercial for it, like one of those like ads for like people who have like conditions or whatever. Like, Have you been to Camp Lejeune or whatever, those kind of commercials?
Yeah.
Did you see the Emoji Movie in theaters? Then
No,
you
I'm
might
not
be
friends.
entitled to then you might be entitled to financial compensation.
But it was their own mistake, though. So the argument could be made against it.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
I don't know.
I'd be. I want an Emoji Movie too. Fuck it. I want to see where it goes.
No. Where is it going to go? It's just an advertisement for phones.
Um, they advertise in the Emoji Movie too.
You have to keep in mind, the Emoji Movie came out in the exact same damned month that the My Little Pony movie came out. So there's only, if we keep tolerating movies like the Emoji Movie, it's going to destroy society. We can only stand so many atrocious films before culture unravels completely. Now, we dodged the bullet when Emoji Movie and My Little Pony movie, those two came out in the same month. We dodged the bullet on that one, but don't tempt fate again.
Okay, let me ask a question. Is the Emoji Movie one of the worst movies of the last decade?
Yes. Like in terms of pure quality, yes, and just I'd argue in terms of pure culture, what that movie represents is. I know I'm being dramatic here, but it's like everything wrong with the modern day entertainment industry and all that culture, and just everything wrong in culture in general nowadays. It's just generic slime. Yeah, I know
We agree.
I may be dramatic on this, but I know I'm getting into the philosophy area, but in like 50 years, no, 10 years, do you think a single person is going to remember the good anything about the Emoji Movie? Like other than
No,
us sad
no.
saps from like when I'm in a retirement home, if I make it there, I'm probably going to remember Star Wars because that was a massive part of my childhood. And before Disney came
Yeah.
in, it was great. Like for you, what's one thing you'd remember that you watched?
As a kid?
What?
Um, I have no idea. I don't
I don't
know.
know. Scorsese, Gattaca. It's your
What?
best.
No. What?
It's clearly your favorite. If you were to end up in a retirement home, what kind of film would you like?
Charlie Brown. I loved Charlie Brown as a kid.
Yeah, Charlie Brown has lasted for decades because there's a soul there. There's just some sort of actual human emotion behind it. The Emoji Movie is just, it's going to be forgotten to the ether because it is just an advertising movie. It is soulless. And I say it in the most directive sense. It just, humans have that kind of uncanny valley sense to tell, because we can tell what is human and what is just looks human. Kind of like with the Emoji Movie. We can tell a movie that actually has spirit behind it and one which is just made to advertise emojis. I know I'm getting.
I don't know. I don't know who approved the Emoji Movie, but I hope they've been fired.
I mean, Nuremberg, Germany still exists, so maybe we could try them there.
Okay.
We need the Nuremberg trials to come back just for the people who made the Emoji Movie. Imagine it, just one of those, and they'd never make another Marvel sequel again.
All right.
All
Oh
right.
my god! Now I want one. Oh my god! I want one now. No more Marvel sequels.
Yeah.
That sounds like a dream come true.
Yeah. We just
Okay.
get
What's
live
your next
action
topic?
remakes.
No, no.
What?
No more live action remakes.
We could. Well, they probably are going to make live action remakes of all the Marvel movies in about 20 years. If nothing changes, we all know that'll happen.
I hope Disney
Search,
burns to the ground.
search your feelings, Nick. You know it should be true.
You know what? I said it last episode, and then I felt legally I had to retract it, but you know what? I want Disney to burn to the ground.
Yes, we are all 100% serious on here without any comedy. Keep in mind to any FBI agents watching this, I absolutely do want to burn Disney.
I want to. I'm just saying, if it were to burn down, cool.
Yes. And if anyone was to be involved with that and any unfortunate fates that befalls Disney World in Orlando, Florida, in the year of our Lord 2023, it wasn't me.
Did you see
Oh
the
yeah,
world's opening in Universal next year?
Super Nintendo. They're making a Nintendo theme park.
You've never heard of it?
No, I
There's
haven't.
one in Japan right. There's one in Japan right now at Universal Hollywood.
That's interesting. Never heard of that.
Okay, I got. Okay. All right, next topic.
Anyway, my topic list is kind of running out. We got Henry Cavill, the Superman actor. Yeah, have you heard about the drama there?
I yeah, I've heard a bit about it.
Okay.
Which Superman movie did he do? Did he do
Man of
Batman
Steel.
versus Superman?
He did
Oh
Man of
God.
Steel and Batman versus Superman.
Oh God. Oh, Man of Steel I saw in theaters. And it wasn't
What'd you
very
think?
good. It wasn't very good.
Now, I'll be devil's advocate here, as I find myself often being. I actually, as a kid, really enjoyed Man of Steel, and even now I still do, because well,
You
it
might be the only
who,
one.
who directed that movie?
Let me see. You might be the only one that says admitted to liking it. Zack Snyder.
All right, yeah, it's a very Snyder style film where he
Oh
kind of
God,
has a similar.
he's another one I don't like.
Well, yeah, I'd say he has a lot of problems, but I think Man of Steel actually did well. You know, it just was a competent superhero movie, and it's kind of grown on me as the years have gone by. I'm not sure why, but it's kind of like both the actor for Superman and the General Zod actor put in their all when it comes to the final fight scene with each other, and I think that was like the best part of the movie. Anyway, so Henry Cavill, they killed him off, brought him back again in Justice League, that abomination, and then, if I remember correctly, the idea was they put in a cameo of him, and I think he was also playing. Was Henry Cavill the guy playing Geralt in the Witcher show?
I've never seen it, but I can look.
Neither have I, but I think what happened was he was playing that. He felt it was
Yep,
getting
he
disrespected.
was.
Yeah, because the people writing it, they're also part of that whole Disney Kathleen Kennedy section on politics, shall we say. And he got fed up, quit the role, and essentially was trying to return to playing Superman. It got very unclear if he was returning or not. And in Black Adam, they had a cameo of him showing up again. And Dwayne The Rock Johnson also said that, also fully supported Henry Cavill. He said he's the only guy for the job of Superman. He cares about the role. He's the guy for this. And I'll be honest, it's another one of the things that made me admire Dwayne for his role in Black Adam. But then it seemed like it was a done deal until it wasn't, because apparently he's no longer joining for some reason, which I think is
Why?
I don't remember the reason why, but I think it's a huge mistake for DC to do that, since he's easily one of the most popular actors there. And he does genuinely care about the universe. Yeah.
I'm trying to find if there's a reason behind it. I'm not finding anything. I mean, it was also announced this week that I guess the new Wonder Woman was also canceled. So maybe just DC is doing some changes.
I think DC needs to understand what they're trying to accomplish here with this series, other than just be Marvel, but worse. Because I think that's the
The
biggest
only
problem with them.
the only
What?
good DC movie, the only good DC movie is V for Vendetta.
That's a DC movie?
Yeah.
All right. I agree that it's good. I wouldn't say it's the only good DC movie, but as a fan of the comic
It's
series,
my personal favorite. It's my personal favorite.
yeah, yeah, of the DC movies, yeah, I'd say that is the best if we're counting that as one of them. I'm saying as a fan, uh, kind of think they've been extremely disappointing with the movies lately, except for the Batman. If you've seen that, I think that was like some of the
That
movies
one's
when they
okay. That
actually.
one's okay, but I think the Batman was good, but it has kind of the same problem I had with Joker in that it's not entirely original. It's very much like Seven. It's very much like Zodiac, but just with a Batman skin.
Well, even if they're being derivative of some random '90s movie that you saw, there there is a few good DC movies that know they want to be something unique and actually strive to be that. Like you have the Suicide Squad, the Batman, Joker, and when they actually try with those movies, they actually do amazingly. It's just you have Man of Steel, which is good, but then it goes into the phase where they were trying to be just Marvel, but fast in half the time with half the effort. Where you got what is it,
Suicide
Man?
Squad.
Yeah, Suicide Squad, Batman v Superman, Wonder Woman 1984, original Justice League, and it's just train wreck after train wreck. So yeah, I think they need Henry Cavill on because they need some people who know what they're doing effectively. Because this whole shtick of where they're trying to be Marvel but worse, it's not financially working for them, and it's not winning the public over. And Marvel's not doing so well right now either. So if they actually got under
No, they're
competent
not.
leadership, yeah, if DC got under some competent leadership and started cranking out not just the occasional good movie, but they started cranking out like banger after banger, they would demolish Marvel right now. Because all those Marvel fans would just flood to DC, and then all of a sudden DC finally gets that Marvel money they've been.
I don't know about that. Have you seen the discourse online between Marvel and DC fanboys?
But I don't
They
know about
clearly
that.
do not like each other.
Look, there are some stupid fanboys who like to hate on both sides of it, but in terms of comic fans like say me, they're both superhero comic genres and I love them, and that's a lot of the casual comics nerds crowd. And for the
Yeah.
general public, they want to see superhero blow up bad guy, and they'll watch it whether it's Iron Man or Batman. So,
Yeah. Again, as I've
absolutely,
mentioned before, I am very much not a superhero fan. I would rather watch something else than watch a Marvel or DC movie.
yeah, like a Scorsese movie.
I don't care for Scorsese's movies. Shut up.
You don't care, or I don't care.
No, I don't really care for him. There's like maybe a couple good ones that he's done, but I don't really care for Goodfellas.
I know. I just make fun of you over that because of the whole how you quoted
His
Scorsese
stance
with
on
the
it, yeah.
where he was like, all superhero movies are just theme parks to me.
And while he's
And
not wrong, he's not wrong,
no,
but
I I think I think he is wrong with that. Like if you want to say they're all bad, well, if I want to say a lot of them are bad, I can agree with that. But he's just like, oh, they're all dumb. I huff my farts and make 2.5 hour movies about Irish people, and anything that's not that, is just dumb and has no merit. Like it's that kind of head up your own ass attitude that I can't stand.
I can see that. Kind of like the James Cameron thing we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that.
Well, and we should probably wrap this up soon since I'm not sure how much longer I can
But
keep talking.
hold on. I have one last topic. Speaking of higher budget movies, Babylon is coming out soon. You've seen the trailer, haven't you?
Yes.
I, I
What, do you,
am so fucking excited to see it. It
what
looks
is
so
it
good.
about?
So it's about it's a period piece on 1920s Hollywood. And from the current reviews I've read about it, it is a mix between like Wolf of Wall Street, Eyes Wide Shut, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
All right.
And I, that makes me very excited because I love that. But like I said, it's a period piece about 20s Hollywood.
Uh, yeah, I'm sorry I'm not being too chatty in that because I don't really know much of that time period, but hopefully it's good.
I'm hoping it's the director has done a lot of good stuff. He made La La Land, Whiplash, First Man. So it
Yeah.
should be
What
a really
was
good movie. And
what's
what?
First Man? Wasn't that a kids movie? I think
No,
it was.
it was a space movie.
Oh, because I remember this stop motion.
It's about Neil Armstrong.
Oh, yeah, that sounds popular. Anyway,
Motion? Stop motion?
well, what I was saying was, I think I remember seeing a trailer for a movie that was stop motion, and it was about these cavemen. Someone there gets kidnapped, and they end up in this Stone Age city where they end up playing soccer to win their freedom. And I know I'm sounding like I'm
Are you
off.
talking about hold on, are you talking about Early Man?
Oh, yeah, is that the name of the movie?
Yeah, that's a Wallace and Gromit movie.
Okay, yeah, that was what I was thinking about when I heard that.
Interesting.
So, yep. You see, folks, we're getting into this. We're not your regular movie channel. We get into the real esoteric depths here of movie reviews.
Have you seen Space Chimps?
I haven't seen it yet.
Space Chimps is a glorious movie. It is a work of art.
It's just from the same guy who hates on Marvel movies and yet is praising Space Jam.
It's Space Chimps was a movie I saw towards the beginning of this year when I was traveling during show choir. It was on one night at a hotel we were at, and we just watched it at like 1 or 2 in the morning, and it was kind of like having a fever dream.
Relate to that.
It was a bad movie, but it was really funny.
Yeah, I still remember when I caught some sort of flu as a toddler and it fucked with my vision. So essentially, the best way I can describe it is the only things I could see when I was sick with it was black, white, silver, and purple. Like it fucked about.
What happened?
Basically, I don't know what was going on, but I think what happened was the fever was so bad it was like fucking with my vision, so I could was hallucinating or something, or something else was happening to my vision when I was that. But I specifically remember just everything looking like that color, and I was lying on the floor of the bathroom, just completely out of it.
How old were you?
I don't know, I think it was like a toddler. My grandparents came over to help us because
You
every single one
remember
of us
that?
got. Yeah, I remember that. It was kind of hard to forget, but what I remember is like
I guess.
we all got sick to the point at which my grandparents had to come over and try and help us when we were recovering because when we got sick, it was basically you're down for the count essentially. You're completely hallucinating like I was.
Sounds like some fucking disease.
It was some sort of disease. I don't know if it was some bad flu or some Ebola like crap, but I don't know what it, maybe like the T virus from Resident Evil. But essentially, grandparents came over to help, and the second they got back home and we were better, they called us and was like, "Hey guys, guess what? We're sick."
Yeah.
Yeah. So in short, get better soon with that disease, and if you start hallucinating, get help. That this is your public service announcement for today, folks.
Do not get sick. Also, do
And
not
if
get COVID. Get vaxxed.
yeah,
So,
well,
I guess I should recommend a movie, huh?
here's here's my what I've been thinking. How about you recommend for me to watch one movie that's kind of Christmassy? I recommend you to watch one movie that's Christmassy, and then we compare each other's movies in like a week or so.
I like that idea.
All right.
Um,
See,
well, hold on. Are you suggesting the one that you had sent to me earlier?
I'm torn on whether to make it the live action Grinch with Jim Carrey for you, or that Jack Frost serial killer movie.
Because mine that I was thinking of, like I said, it's a Christmas movie, but it's one where it's one of those movies where it's like, is it a Christmas movie or is it not? Kind of like a
Not
Die
gonna.
Hard kind of situation.
So it's kind of like Die Hard, but it's not that movie in particular.
No, it's not. It has a Christmas theme to it, but it's not about Christmas.
And what movie would that be?
Well, it is one. I'm gonna give some hints, and we'll see if you can guess it. It is one of my favorite films of all time. It stars Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, and is directed by Stanley Kubrick. Can you
I'm gonna be
guess?
on. I'm gonna be honest now. This is sounding a lot like me, like a deeply heartfelt and emotional movie. I'm guessing it's the Emoji Movie. Did I miss it?
I should have suggested Emoji Movie,
Emoji
but I
Movie's
just
not a
can't do
Christmas movie. You can't.
that. I know I can't. It's Eyes Wide Shut.
You see, I live in a house with children, and I don't think I can watch that.
I
Isn't
mean,
Eyes
there's
Wide?
ways. There's ways you can watch it.
Isn't isn't Eyes Wide Shut like about a sex cult?
I'm not gonna spoil it.
I'm part of the college Christian youth group, so I don't think you understand that. I don't think of Christmas and that together.
Well, well,
What?
so- no, Eyes Wide
Nick?
Shut.
How is that a Christmas movie?
Takes place within like I think like the week of Christmas, and there is like Christmas trees. There's a Santa, Christmas lights, and all that. So it does take place within Christmas. Actually, the original book that the movie is based on was originally part of Mardi Gras, but it was changed to Christmas. So,
Don't know what Mardi Gras is.
it's a festival in New Orleans in February, I think it is. I don't know much about it, but it has like the masks and which is, I guess, where the Eyes Wide Shut mask comes from. Anyway, I'm not gonna spoil it. It's one of my
Just
favorite
a
movies. It's one of my favorites, and I mean, I know how you are.
What?
I think you'll at least. I know how you are, but I will say, I think you'll enjoy it. I don't know if you'll love it, but I think you'll at least get a kick out of it. Because there's some funny parts about it.
No.
So what's your movie?
Right. I just want to check and see where Eyes Wide Shut is to make sure I can watch it.
It's on Netflix right now. At least last time I
Okay.
checked, it
Yep,
should
it's
be
on
still on
Netflix.
there.
I can watch
Okay.
it. So,
All right. What do you got for me?
do you have HBO Max?
I do.
Okay. The live action Grinch movie starring Jim Carrey.
I haven't seen that before. All right.
You haven't?
No, I haven't. I've only seen the original Grinch one, the animated one.
Oh, oh, dear child, you are in for a masterpiece.
I've heard about it though. I'm not like
Yep,
I've never heard of it before.
there are many things to say about that movie, many great and
Oh
wonderful
boy.
things.
Okay. I guess we're both in for something.
Hmm. If I must suffer,
Um,
so should you.
I'm not suggesting a bad movie.
It's not a bad movie. It's an interesting movie.
It's a movie I think it'll be interesting.
Hmm.
So
Hey, Winston, is it good or bad? It's interesting. So, all right, we both have our challenges. Audience, you've heard it firsthand. Within a week or so, we should have our films watched, for good or for ill.
and hopefully
Anyway,
like 3 weeks, like last time.
yeah, I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
The
It's okay.
semester is wrapping up, so it's been crazy busy
Yeah.
for me. Not to
Yeah.
mention, me and my
Um,
parents were watching Game of Thrones. So every
the
night
new
it's like,
series? The new series?
no, I haven't seen that. It's the original series.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yep,
no
and
issue. It's fine.
I've heard it doesn't end well, but I'm enjoying myself so far. So I'll see how far it goes.
Hold on a minute. You're okay with watching Game of Thrones, but you're not okay with watching Eyes Wide Shut?
Yes,
Game of Thrones is filled with both nudity, incest,
it
and
also
there's
has
none of
politics.
that. And there's none of that. Well, there's nudity in Eyes Wide Shut, but there's no incest.
Well, there's politics, and as long as there's that in the show, I can get over it.
Okay. I'm ending this.
Call me a hypocrite if you want, but I don't see it that way.
All right, all right.
Anyway,
That is the end. That's the end of this episode. We'll be back in a couple weeks.
thank you kindly, schmucks. Ta-ta.
See you
Anyway.
then.